Hello people of the VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder back with another contest entry, this time for John. His channel's called VINYLIZER, probably one of the most prolific posters of videos on YouTube. Difficult to keep up at times, but I enjoy the videos that I watch. Always try and leave a comment if I can. John's big metal guy. He's got an unhealthy obsession with bands like Def Leppard, which I don't condone at all. But you know, each to their own. So John's competition. Check out his channel above. A little link up there and down below. 400 subs and 100,000 views, I think, was the excuse for this competition, and a very good excuse it is to thoroughly deserve John. Great channel. Don't let those haters get you down. They're very, very few, considering you've got 100,000 views. You know, people are watching you, and so don't worry about the idiots that watch and then leave a thumbs down or something. They're not worth time and effort to worry on. But back to the question. So 2 questions for this one. The first was so the big 4 of metal, everybody knows, or thrash metal, everybody knows. John wanted an alternative big 4. And the second question was if you could put a festival together with 10 bands, who would it be? So first question, so to me the big 4 doesn't necessarily mean the best. They were just 4 bands that were within the same genre that were big at the time. And people argue the toss over, you know, which order those top 4 would be in, or whether in fact other bands deserve the right to be in there instead of some of those others. Seen some good entries on these so far. I don't know if this one has been chosen already, but I've gone for female bands or female fronted bands from the 1980s in the rock and heavy metal category. You'll be surprised to hear coming from this channel. So first up, Rock Goddess, great 3-piece, a couple of sisters, Julie and Jodie Turner, and Dee O'Malley on bass. Great album, great band, if you haven't checked those out. Second, and these are in no particular order for this big 4. Probably guessed that Warlock would be in here. Not a female band, but a female fronted band with Doro. This is Hellbound album. More on Warlock later. Girls' School, probably my favourite of the 4 bands I'm going to show you today, and probably my favourite all-female or female-fronted metal band of all time. This is Demolition, their debut album. In the near future, although the frequency I'm churning out videos at the moment, it may well be a couple of months away, I'm going to do a video on my Girls' School collection and give you my thoughts on the albums from the 80s. So that's my number 3. And my number 4 is Hellion, a band that was fronted by Anne Boleyn. They weren't really very prolific in terms of releases. They had a few sort of legal wranglings and what have you, but this is killer stuff. This is almost like a female Wasp, if you like. So that's my 4 female bands or female fronted artists from the 80s, my big 4. Now on to the live, the festival. I've picked a real mixture here. I think as a lineup, it probably wouldn't work. It probably wouldn't flow. I'm not sure necessarily who would be headlining here. There would be a couple of candidates. Maybe you can help me decide that in the comments below. But these are all bands that I haven't seen. So there'll be some big bands that you probably expect to see on my list here of bands live. But kind of copying Metal Mickey here by only choosing bands that I haven't actually seen live myself, but would have liked to. Guns N' Roses, that'll cause some difference of opinion straight off the bat. I would have loved to have seen them. Not now. I wouldn't. I'm really not fussed about seeing them now. But when this album was out and it was in its prime, I would have loved to have gone to see them. They played Donington, I think, 1988, and I didn't get tickets that year, having gone in '87. Unfortunately, I think a couple of people died during that performance. Got crushed, which obviously wasn't a good thing at all. But yeah, so Guns N' Roses, and these are in alphabetical order, by the way, so I didn't have time to start sort of thinking about the order that these would go in. Halloween, but I would want to see Halloween from the Kai Hansen and Michael Kixey, if I pronounced it right, Kiske, sorry, era. And they could play things from the first album as well. I'd be fine with that. Manowar. These are a new band to me. Basically, they've only recently clicked with me. I discarded them in the '80s as just being a bit of a joke. But they would have. I think they would have been killer to have seen back in the '80s. So anything from their sort of first 3 or 4 albums, they could play those live, and I'd be a happy man. Ross the Boss actually played in Edinburgh recently. I didn't get to go and see that. The tickets were a bit pricey, and I hadn't really got into Manowar that much at that point, so I skipped that one. Another band I could have gone to see recently live, but I thought the tickets were astronomical, really, and I don't know if they would be. I would want to have seen them in the prime in the '80s, so a little bit more of a mellow choice here. But Magnum is one of my absolute favourite bands. This is on a storyteller's night, but they could play anything from their sort of 70s and 80s career, and again, I would be happy to hear all their big hits on stage. Next up, Megadeth. I will go and see them now if I got the opportunity. Yeah, just haven't got around to seeing Megadeth. I wouldn't necessarily care on the lineup either. I just think they've got a killer back catalogue. Obviously, everyone talks about the first 3 or 4 albums. A couple of duffers here and there, but even on those, there's a couple of good tracks. And what band didn't, consider the length of career that they've had. There's going to be some duffers in there, but I really like Dystopia, their latest, and I really like a lot of the stuff that they was carried on doing in the 90s and noughties. So I just, one of the ones on my bucket list now. Now I've seen bands like Maiden and Priest and Metallica and Anthrax and some of the bands that were truly my favourite bands. I would Megadeth have got to be pretty high on the list, as are Suicidal Tendencies. Again, never seen these guys. Would be happy to hear them play pretty much anything. Obviously, the first 3 or 4 albums up to the one after this, Controlled by Hatred, generally my favourite. I really enjoyed the new album, World's Gone Mad. I'd be happy to hear them play songs of that. A little bit disappointed. I was going to get to see these guys this Sunday. I'm off on vacation. My sister-in-law lives in Houston, and the Houston Open Air Rock Festival is going to take place on Sunday, but it's got cancelled. See, the hurricanes and things have apparently made it too difficult to put on, although the venue itself was apparently unaffected and it wasn't flooded, so that was a bit disappointing, but never mind, we get the chance again. Next up, Tank. Again, a band that passed me by in the 80s, and a band that I've really dived into in the last couple of years, and pick up everything and anything I see by them, which isn't often. I've got about 4 of their albums now. I think I've got just about everything I want from them, but very raw, early heavy metal sound from these guys. in the vein of Motorhead, really, sort of more Motorhead meets heavy metal than Motorhead being, I always think them more as a sort of hard rock and roll band that just played their own type of music, whereas Tank were more from the traditional, the new wave of British heavy metal era. They'll be Kill Alive, surely. Mentioned in question 1, Warlock. I would love to have seen Doro perform with Warlock in the 80s, the height of her career. Yeah. And the last two, they're not in alphabetical order. I forgot to put these two at the end. So these next two are two newer bands, and I hope to see them live at some point. Deadlord is one of my favourite new bands that's out at the moment. This is Heads Held High. I've just picked up their new album, Ignorance. I can't remember what it's called. In Ignorance We Trust, which is also really, really good, and I just think they would be amazing to see live. And last but not least, Ram. Bit mixed emotions about the say off on vacation soon. Really looking forward to that. But while I'm away, Ram are coming to play Edinburgh, and they're playing at a really small venue called Bannerman's, which is great to see bands and be really up close and in their face, and they have to walk through the crowd to get onto the stage. Ram have three full albums out. They've got I've got the new album out on pre-order at the moment, which comes out at the beginning of November, I believe. And I just don't think they will play Edinburgh again. Edinburgh only has really capacity for really small venues and bands that are up and coming, and I think as and when they come back to the UK, they're probably going to play in Glasgow at a bigger venue, and that's just always a little bit more challenging to get to. So John, there you go. That was I think that was 10. I didn't count them off as I went along. Great idea for a competition. Apologies I didn't have a chance to sort of do a little bit, make it a bit more fancy and talk about the order and things they go in, but I wanted to make sure I got an entry in for your competition to support your channel before I went away. Thanks for watching. Check out John's channel, and here's the next 400 subs and the next 100,000 views, John. Take care. See you later. Bye.